When you're willing to pay a premium for things, that's when it's called valuable. So, guys, what makes Disney so valuable? Let's start with the pain. What is the main pain that Disney solves?
I think the main pain in a new parent and in a mid parent's life is that my child just cries way too much. My child does not know what they want, what they need. Hell, I don't know what they want, what they need, and I'm just playing guesswork most of the time.
Bro, I don't know about new parents. For me, Disney is all about it is going to take me to a world that doesn't exist and everything is going to be happily ever after.
And for my brother, it would be that Disney is gonna take my child to a world where he doesn't need to care and he will stop crying. I think that's the main pain that they solve. Non crying kids. The
Non
sec-
crying kids taking you away from the world. That's health.
I think that would be health for the parent and that would be relationship for the kids. Because then they would like to go out and discuss with their friends, oh, how was it going in Disneyland? Or how has Disneyland been for you? Or
Which
did you
rides
see
did you do? Which characters did you meet? Which parades did you go for? Which songs did you sing?
And the other thing is that it solves the pain for the parent that my kids are unable to network. Because you want other kids to ask them, did you see that episode where Minnie Mouse did XYZ?
It's Tesla for kids.
It is for their day-to-day discussions.
Tesla
On,
for kids.
on a wealth front, I don't think they solve anything. It is just a drainage of wealth. But I think they would solve the wealth issue for B2B companies where they get to start putting sponsorships in.
I think with wealth, Disney does a lot more. I mean, it might not be solving the problem for anybody else. It's created a sort of environment within itself where franchises start because of Disney. New characters come in because of Disney. Companies get underway because of Disney, because they were once a part of the Disneyland park. They became so popular that they got out of there and they started their own brand.
So if we were to position it as a pain, that would be that selling a new product with a new brand is very difficult. So at least I get access to an already established brand that can make me sell easily.
Disney acts as a probability enhancer for that other brand. So when you look at you and me wanting to start a brand, if we're suddenly a part of Disney World or Disneyland or any of the various Disney stores, people are like, okay, Disney is associating with these guys. There must be something to them.
Let's take it into the dream phase and let's discuss it further as to how or what is the dream that they're showing in order for them to be valuable.
So I think even with the dream, let's look at it in terms of different age groups, A, for direct consumers, and let's look at it from a business point of view as well.
Love
If you're looking at it as a B2B angle.
Love it, let's go.
So I think B2C, if you look at parents, the dream is my kid will stop crying. The dream is my kid will be happy.
I think I have something to bribe my kid with is also a big
I
deal.
will be happy.
Because I can tell my kid that, hey bro, listen, if you do XYZ, eat your vegetables right, or if you do your homework correctly, I'll take you to Disneyland on this
It's
month.
the Santa Claus fallacy.
Yes, but more.
Yes, exactly. Here, rather than saying someone else is watching what you do, you're saying you have direct control of what you're doing. There is no arbitrary, oh, have you been overall good this year? It is do what I'm saying or do what you're supposed to do, and you will get this at the end.
Yep. So I think that's on the kid front.
Parent and kid front, I guess.
I feel the premium started decreasing over time, which is why Disneyland earlier used to be more of a, oh my god, I have to go. And then so many different amusement parks started happening that there were a lot more options.
I don't think it's just amusement parks.
Hmm.
I think it's because Disney just became more accessible. Disney now is available to a kid on their tablet. They have a game, they have a console, they have everything where they're interacting with every single one of these characters on a very regular basis.
Don't you think the characters also lost their meaning? For example, Mickey Mouse, when we were younger, was Mickey Mouse, and now there are like so many different things. There's like Teen Titan Go and Chota Bheem in India and all of these things.
Exactly. There's volume, definite.
Yeah.
But I also feel like it's because you have so much interaction. You know, the whole marginal utility curve that we talked about. Like when you have the first piece of chocolate that you have or the first bite of pizza that you have is, oh my god, and then by the time you reach the last piece you're like, okay, I cannot eat more of this.
Why I was discussing this direction is because if you think of their target audience now, when you look at Marvel movies, and Marvel is owned by Disney, so when you look at Marvel movies, they are exclusively targeted to people who are our age. Like they are targeted
Yes.
to 25 to 40, who at one point when we were younger were consuming Marvel superheroes, right? Even if you look at DC, they are targeting a similar generation. They are darker movies, more serious, more vulgar humor, because that's what would entice us rather than the kids. In fact, many a times you have to watch a movie first and then see if I can actually show it to my nephews or not, right? So that, I feel they tried doing that, succeeded for a good decade, and now are miserably failing.
I feel they went with the if it's not broke, why change it? But the way they had their storylines written, the way their Marvel universe was going, everything culminated and there was nothing new that came out. Like, think about even Harry Potter for that matter. Now, after the seventh book, after the eighth movie, they've tried to do so much more with the whole Harry Potter franchise, but nothing has worked because the story is, for all intents and purposes, done. The main villain has lost. The whole universe, everything has been neatly tied up with a bow and like put aside. Similarly, when Endgame came out, spoiler alert,
Thanos dies.
yes, things are finished. The storyline is over. So, like they keep trying to milk that same storyline.
Like Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Doctor Doom, right? Again, they are thinking nostalgia. It's very similar things are happening in Bollywood, by the way. Everything is nostalgia, nostalgia, nostalgia. Everything is like, let's tap into the past and maybe get a few more bucks out of the current generation. What if we transition to businesses? So on the B2B front, again, so my father owned a textile manufacturing plant. At that time, getting a Disney license was hell. You could not get one. It was like so coveted. And now it feels like Disney is very readily giving out licenses in India because they literally don't have that appeal anymore. I see more. I used to see a lot of Superman earlier. Now in India, it feels like everyone wants Chota Bheem or like Bal Ganesh or something like this, right? So the superheroes have changed and the fascination has changed.
I think there's too many of them.
There are, aren't they? And when things become too many, they start losing their value. They start losing that premium.
Dude, I remember we went down to Disney World. About 7 of us from college, we went down there. And we had the most amazing time. We were entering the parks when they opened and we were staying there till they closed, singing every single song, going to every single parade, going to every single show. And we were like a bunch of, I would say, 21-year-olds, but behaving like as if we were 10. And for me, that was great. Probably won't do that again, but as a one-time experience, that was brilliant. So I feel like for me, Disney still has that value.
I feel on an experiential front, they do. I don't think the theme parks have lost any of their value.
I think the way they do parades, I think the way they do characters, I think the way they do shows,
and just like the magic of the experience for a kid.
they're able to create that magic.
But
and they buy into that magic.
On the media front, I feel like they've lost a lot of their leverage.
I don't see them have leverage at this point.
So I think it's time to move into the probability, since we are discussing how they're losing on their leverage on several things, and leverage being what advantage they have over other companies, right?
I feel like with leverage, we have to again bifurcate further. We're going to have the theme parks and the experiential aspects that we just spoke about, and then we have the media. I think these two will give us a very clear-cut differentiation in where the probability is going up and where the probability is going down. Because I feel when you're going to the experiences, when you're going to the parks, the probability of achieving your dream outcome is very, very high. Because they're leveraging their capital, they're leveraging their labor, they're leveraging their media, they're leveraging their media to get you to the parks. But I don't know about any new media that they're able to leverage at the parks.
I feel the dream outcome is very well met inside the park because my kid is not gonna cry inside the park. The dream outcome is also
My kid is not going to cry inside the park. I am going to believe in magic inside the park.
If the main dream outcome, if the main pain that is being solved is my kid's happiness, I will take them to the park multiple times a year and I will pay hell lot of premiums to get to their parks, and their parks are expensive. I think it's like some 3-digit number for one day visit in US dollars. And the parks open up in different countries, all of which are able to satisfy their needs, the dream outcome, at a very high premium. If you talk about the probability just rises and rises with more characters that they can introduce in the parks.
I feel like it's because, again, once you get into the park, they're literally playing on all 4 leverages. They have your attention, they have your money, they have the labor who is capable of creating that magic, they have the tech that is able to create that magic. So everything, like, you're literally giving them control of all the 4 leverages that they possibly could have.
It's kind of like being stuck in an airport.
Essentially.
You know, I went to that Universal Studios park and there's that Harry Potter land there. My friends wanted to have butter beer. Most horrible garbage I've ever drank. It's Pepsi with some soft serve. That's what it tastes like. And we paid like a hell lot of money to have that garbage, right? But everyone was like, oh, this is so good. Even me, because it's butterbeer from Harry Potter. Right? That's the ownership you guys have over here.
It's because you have read that butterbeer tastes so good. It is because you have seen that, oh, it's butterbeer. And the butterbeer, it doesn't matter how it tastes at that point. It's the fact that you're going there, you've gone there because of all those leverages that Disney has put on you. Or now, in the Harry Potter's case, Universal has put on you. And you're giving them the you're giving them the opportunity to take advantage of all those leverages. They're saying, come, like, they're literally drawing you in, like, you know, a spider tells like a fly, will you come into my parlor with the whole web and everything. There's that whole, I don't know which play from Shakespeare it is from, but there's this beautiful analogy that he gives, the way that the spider entices a fly, where the fly feels like it's coming in willingly into the spider's web. It is like that.
Outside that, it's tough to handle kids. When you're handling kids, you're hungry and you're thirsty and you're gonna need food and you're gonna need something to drink. And you are going to pay like $12, $13 for a hot dog, which is supposed to be $1.50. Just how the way the things roll.
Airports.
Yes. So they have completely dominated their business model and copied airports, or airports have copied them. I don't know which one came first.
One year there voluntarily, one year there involuntarily 2 hours before. Disneyland, you choose to go there at the crack of dawn when the parks are opening, and you choose to stay there at the very end because the shows are there till the very end. Airport, you have to get there a certain time. So I guess voluntarily, involuntarily, you don't really think about it too much when you're at Disneyland. But when you're at the airport, maybe you think about it a lot more. Again, I feel like that's their leverage playing into it, where you're like, oh, it's giving me so much. When it's an airport, you're like, oh, yeah, I paid for this flight. I'm going to take my flight.
Let's talk about the leverage that is being murdered. Let's talk about the probability that is being murdered. Let's talk about it.
There, I feel that their tech is very similar. It's become a commodity. Their online OTT platform is just like any other. I would say it's probably at the lower end of.
Yeah, Netflix is much better as a platform to be used.
So there, the tech definitely is failing.
Yep.
They're fighting for attention.
Yep.
And as we said, they're not getting any new characters and they're not being able to build a new audience. So the attention fight is getting, like, you know, their audience is limited and the fight for attention is getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yep.
Like, I saw the Black Widow movie the other day after, I think it's released like 3-4 years ago. And I like sort of just forwarded through it and I was like, okay, yeah, sure, the Black Widow's already done. Why are we getting a backstory? What is going on? And it was placed at that odd time where the Captain America Civil War had just happened or was about to happen or some nonsense like that. So it was such a weird, like, drop in the ocean where out of the blue after the entire thing is ended. Suddenly now you're showing this in the middle. Like, I just found the movie to be very pointless from a larger scheme of things.
You talk about the younger generation, right? I think one of the major parts that is going completely against Disney is that the kids are growing up too fast. And I feel like an old man saying that. I'm only like 3 years old. But my nephews, one was like 8, and he's saying that no, 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 Chachu, this is for kids. I'm like, bro, like damn. But this is true. Kids are growing up too fast. They are differentiating what is for kids and what is not at a very, very early stage. I feel like Disney's completely lost them.
I feel like Disney earlier, even if you look at their earlier animated content, you look at Cinderella, you look at Mickey Mouse, you look at any of those movies that had come out, Snow White. I remember watching those till I was like 14, 15 years old even.
Snow White was a 0 to 1, right? At that time, there was no animation. And Snow White was a hand drawn animation, each thing at like 15 frames per second. Or like that Bambi, was it the one with the deer? That's the same thing.
Dude, all these movies have been like Snow White and Cinderella and all have been released in the late 60s.
Yes, and they were 0 to 1s. And after that, they were able to scale. And Mickey Mouse was just some rando, and he became Mickey Mouse, right?
So, but can you imagine a movie that was released in 1967 was something that you and I have also grown up watching in the 1990s and 2000s, and suddenly, smash cut to today, and here you have nothing, no kids. Like, kids are like, oh, these are for kids.
Outside this, if we were to name this episode What Killed Disney, then we would say that YouTube. Kids watch YouTube, and it's just the truth. They watch these random people sitting in their house playing a video game, shouting at the video game, and they're very happy watching that.
They're getting more content.
Infinitely
I feel like
more.
Kids, again, because Disney is in a fight for the attention, the moment the kid steps out of the park, the attention that Disney had is gone.
So would you say Disney's content is what we now call commoditized?
To a large extent, yes.
I would not buy a Disney Plus membership.
Yeah, neither would I.
At all. Even if they're like $3, I would not. There is no magic left. There is nothing in me that tells me, oh, go back and watch Aladdin again. And there is nothing new coming out which is very enticing.
So you'll probably find Aladdin on YouTube.
Or that. So I feel on the media front, they are losing heads over heels, and all they're able to do is acquire more and more studios and hopefully make more movies from those studios.
I think the acquisition of Marvel was very, very big for them. And that's definitely something that has paid in, as they call multi-bagger amounts for them. But I think Marvel is also done because again, they ended it. They literally called the movie Endgame. So what can you have beyond that, right? So let's look at time and effort. I think we can club time and effort together for this because again, we're going to be looking at it from two lenses.
Okay.
So when you look at it from the parks, your effort is actually getting to a park.
It's quite some effort.
It depends where in the world you are.
The reason the parks don't have the revenues that they can is because there is a lot of effort. Somebody sitting in India, they have no access.
You forget someone sitting in India. I would say even for someone going to the park, that whole experience, 3 days or how many ever days you go for, is physically draining because these parks are big places. And there's a lot of people there. So I would say let's even remove the getting to the park point. You get to the park, and even then there is effort from you. Even once you're inside, you have to walk around everywhere. You have to wait in lines. You have to schedule your fast passes so that you can come back at another time and then not have to wait in line. But you still have to spend that 2 hours, 2.5 hours of time.
And if you're somebody in a 9-to-5 job who gets 1 day off a week or 2 days off a week, then your full commitment of your entire break after a grueling week is towards this one park. Yes, my kid will stop crying. Is it
but
worth
it's going to have me walking 15-20 miles. But it's going to have me walking like 10-15 kilometers in the day, handling my kid, handling the rides. handling that food, handling the drink, handling the candy, handling everything.
So-
It's a fully grueling experience.
So the weather needs to be good on the day you're going. Otherwise,
If it rains, you're done.
if it's too cold, you're done, and if it's too hot, you're done. So like it's kind of, you have to be right in the middle, in the Goldilocks zone, where it is actually good weather.
So I feel like when it comes to time and effort, the parks do lose a bit, because there is a lot of time that goes into it, to just giving up your full day that when you're there. We're ignoring the amount of time it takes you to actually get.
So now the question becomes, how much can my bribe and my well-being, so that my kid doesn't cry, compare with how much effort I'm going to put in? And right now, I think one side is winning. Hence, they're able to charge pretty high for their parks. Even the time bit, it takes time, man.
Full day.
Yeah,
A full day at the park.
and that's if you're in the same
Yeah.
state. Or if you're in
That's
the
it.
same
Yeah,
city.
exactly. That's what we're talking about. Just the park. Getting to it is a whole other
Oh,
journey.
yes, absolutely. Even if you can get tech to book the park tickets earlier, even getting into the park is a problem. There's like so many gates, and you need to stand in a line and hope you get in on time, and nothing happens to you in the meanwhile. Parking is a hassle there. I feel all of these things are something that Disney needs to look into, although they must be.
I'm sure they have, man. They've been running these for ages, and I'm sure these are not problems that just you and I have experienced.
Are we talking about time and effort for OTT platforms? Because I don't feel there is much time or effort. You just need to. Like,
The effort is the fact that there's nothing on there that you want to watch.
actually, the effort would be the fact that you have to download an app. That is quite a bit.
Download an app on your phone, open a web page,
Yeah.
find what you want to watch.
Yeah.
I feel like that is the effort. That is the time.
I think that is a discussion I'm gonna leave for our next episode, which will be Netflix, and they have completely dominated this effort of ours. So, guys, if you were to start an amusement park company like Disney, or if you were to start a dying business in media like Disney, how would you do it?
Let us know in the comments below.